My wife said yes into a microphone, and the room laughed like I was in on it. That's the part that still sticks, the laughter. Not the words, not the smile. The laugh from 200 people who didn't know my name, who didn't know the years, who didn't know what it costs to be the steady guy. They laughed like I was a prop, like I was scenery. Earlier that afternoon, she wore the red dress in our bedroom and turned once in the mirror, slow, savoring herself. The dress wasn't cheap, but it wasn't about money. It was about the message. Red on a winter night says, "Look here." "Too much?" she asked, voice light. "It's nice," I said, "because nice is what you say when you're trying not to start a fight that you can feel waiting in the walls." She smiled anyway. She didn't need my approval. She wanted the feeling of being chosen by someone who mattered more than her husband. In the car, she checked her phone at every stoplight. Each time the screen lit up, her thumb moved fast, protective. When I asked what was so urgent, she laughed and told me it was just work. She said it with that soft tone she uses when she wants me to feel foolish for asking. "It's a party," she added. "Harmless fun." The Blackwell Hotel glowed downtown, warm windows against a gray New England night, salt-stained sidewalks, pretty old brick buildings pretending the past wasn't messy. Harroport always looks like it's been staged for a brochure. Even the snow falls like it's doing a job. Inside the ballroom, Alder and Wren's logo sat on every napkin and every screen, like worship. A photo wall, a donor wall, a bar with names on little chalkboards, and a band playing songs with safe endings. People hugged too long. People pretended they liked each other. People took pictures of themselves standing in front of the logo, like the logo was a famous person. My wife dragged me to it. "Stand there," she said, tugging my sleeve. "Smile." The camera flashed. Someone yelled, "Work it!" And my wife laughed loud, bright, like the sound could rewrite the world. Grant Sloane worked the crowd like he'd been built for it. Mid-40s, perfect suit, perfect grin. When he saw my wife, his smile turned private like a door closing behind them. "Tessa," he said, "that dress should come with a warning label." "Oh, stop," she said, and her cheeks lifted like she'd been waiting all week for that line. He clapped my shoulder without looking at me. "Jack, good to see you. You having fun?" I nodded, because nodding is what husbands do at office parties. My job is contracts and procurement. I live in clauses and signatures. I spend my days making sure people sign what they should sign, because when they don't, everything falls apart slowly and expensively. A woman from HR, Nina Park, name tag crisp, passed by and gave me a small, sympathetic smile that didn't reach her eyes. She nodded at Grant like she'd already memorized his file. At 9, Grant took the stage. He held the mic like it was part of his hand. "We're doing a game," he said. "Harmless fun." My wife's head turned toward me when he said those words, like she wanted me to hear her favorite excuse coming from his mouth, like she wanted me to learn the script. Grant scanned the room like he was searching for courage, and his eyes landed on her like he already owned it. "Tessa," he said, "come up here." She went fast. The heels on her shoes clicked on the steps like punctuation. He met her center stage. He leaned in and said something off mic that made her grin wider. He knew what to feed her. Praise, spotlight, permission. He faced the crowd. "Everybody's got a work spouse, right? Someone who keeps you sane." The room cheered. People love permission. Grant turned back to her, voice smooth. "If I told you to disappear with me for 1 hour tonight, no questions, would you say yes?" My wife laughed, played the crowd, lifted her shoulders like she was on a game show, and said it clear as a bell. "Yes." The ballroom erupted. He touched her lower back, just a second too long, a public claim disguised as a joke. My wife held the mic and added, "Relax, it's harmless fun." I didn't shout. I didn't storm the stage. I felt something inside me go quiet and cold, like a switch flipped. When the band started again and the room loosened, I slipped out into the hallway with the framed sailboat paintings and the thick carpet that swallowed footsteps. I made one call. It rang twice, then voicemail. "You've reached Diane," a woman's voice said. "Leave it." I kept my voice low. "Diane Sloane, I'm Jack Mercer. I'm at the Blackwell. Your husband just crossed a line in public, in front of witnesses. Call me tonight." I hung up and went back in. I stood by the bar with a ginger ale and a face that didn't move. My wife floated from group to group, lit by attention, clutching a velvet envelope Grant handed her like a prize. The envelope looked like a gift. It felt like a leash. She finally found me again. "You're being weird," she said. "I watched you say yes," I replied. She rolled her eyes. "It was a joke. Don't be dramatic." I didn't argue. Arguing is for couples who still think the other person is listening. Near the exit, she came toward the doors with two co-workers. Her phone lit up. The ring cut through the hallway noise like a wire pulled tight. Her smile stuttered, then vanished. The name on her screen was big enough for me to read from 3 steps away: Diane Sloane. My wife stopped walking. Her co-workers kept going, then turned back. "Tess?" one asked. My wife stared at the phone like it had teeth. She looked up at me, and I saw the exact moment she understood. I didn't call a friend. I called a lever. The Blackwell's parking garage was a concrete throat, exhaust, wet coats, slippery ramps that glistened under buzzing lights. My wife answered the call in a whisper. "Hello?" Whatever Diane said, it worked fast. My wife's face changed in stages. Confusion, then worry, then something like panic that she tried to dress up as irritation. "No, it was just a joke," she murmured. "You don't... Diane, please..." She walked faster, phone pressed tight, heels clicking like she was running without running. The 2 co-workers drifted away, suddenly fascinated by the ice machine down the hall. Nobody wants to stand close to a marriage starting to crack in public. I followed into the stairwell and down to the lower level. The stairwell smelled like damp concrete and old perfume. A sign on the wall reminded guests not to prop the door open. It felt like a message for my life. Down below, tail lights moved in the distance. I heard laughter echo between pillars. Then Grant waited by a black SUV with Vance beside him. Cole was tall and broad, a consultant with a security vibe and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. The kind of guy who posts quotes about discipline and then breaks rules for fun. He scanned the garage like he expected trouble. He wasn't wrong. My wife reached Grant and covered the phone. One word slipped out, sharp. "Diane." Grant's grin cracked for half a second. Then he looked at me and rebuilt it. "Jack," he said. "Great event. She crushed it." He said crushed, like it was praise, and like he wasn't the one who set the trap. Grant had the tone of a man who believes the room is always on his side. "I heard the mic," I said. "Come on," he replied. "Holiday nonsense. Morale. Harmless fun." My wife hung up. Her hand trembled. "Jack, stop," she said. "You're making it worse." "Worse than what?" I asked. "Worse than you saying yes in front of everyone?" She flinched and went straight to anger. "It was for work," she snapped. "You don't understand how my world works." Grant nodded like he'd trained her. "Exactly," he said. "She's ambitious. You should be proud." I didn't step closer. I didn't threaten. I just said, "I already made the call." Grant's eyes narrowed. "What did you do?" Cole moved into my space. "You need to chill," he said. "You're acting unhinged." "Back up," I told him. Cole smirked. "Or what?" I slapped the SUV's hood once. The sound echoed through the garage, sharp and final. Cole flinched before he could stop himself. The flinch told me everything about who he was, brave until surprised. "Or you'll keep standing here looking stupid," I said quietly. Grant's smile turned thin. "You're a smart guy, Jack," he said. "Don't make this bigger." "It's already bigger," I replied. "I just stopped pretending it was small." For a second, Grant's eyes went flat. The friendly boss mask slipped, showing a man who keeps score and punishes people who embarrass him. He leaned toward me and spoke low. "You think you're protected because you're polite," he said. "You're not." I nodded once. "I'm protected because you're reckless," I replied. My wife stared at me like she was seeing a stranger in my face. Maybe she was. Maybe I'd been hiding from myself, too. I walked away toward my car. My hands didn't shake. That was the strangest part. I felt steady, like I was doing a task at work, closing a file, documenting a risk, sending it to the right person. Halfway down the ramp, my phone buzzed. "Unknown number. Stop digging. You don't know who you're playing with." I stared until the screen dimmed. Then I typed back, "You're right. I'm playing with paperwork." I hit send. The garage lights buzzed above me like insects, like they approved. The next morning, our house felt like a stage after the show, quiet, scattered, a little sticky with spilled drinks and lies. My wife left early. "Meeting," she said, not looking at me. She didn't touch me. She moved through the kitchen like she was borrowing it from someone else. The door shut. The silence stayed, thick and patient. I didn't go to work right away. I opened our shared phone account. Not her device, not her messages, just the log we both pay for, the one she asked me to set up years ago because passwords annoyed her. Dates, times, durations. At first it looked like static. Then it became a map. Calls to Grant's office. Calls to a private number with the same area code that repeated at odd hours. Long calls on nights she said she was with the girls. Short calls, right before she came home smelling like winter mint cologne and expensive soap. I built a timeline in a simple spreadsheet. Day, time, number, minutes. I cross-checked it with our shared calendar. Client dinner. Brand review. Strategy session. Words that look clean until you put them next to the minutes. By noon, my eyes burned from staring. I printed one page, the bare list of dates, and folded it into my pocket like a weapon I didn't have to swing. My phone buzzed again. Another unknown text. Last warning. 2 words, like somebody whispering behind my ear. I didn't respond. I saved the message. Screenshot. Timestamp. I was done being surprised by people who thought threats were special. I called my friend Mason. He did IT at the hospital and fixed printers for people who couldn't be bothered to read instructions. "Tell me you're not calling about your router," he said. "No," I replied. "I need to keep records clean. I'm building a timeline." Mason paused. "That's heavy." "It's tidy," I said. "Same thing," he muttered. "Don't do anything dumb." "I'm doing something boring," I told him. "Boring can be brutal," he said. That afternoon, I met Ruth Calder, an employment lawyer above a dentist's office. Gray hair, sharp eyes, calm voice. Her office smelled like paper and coffee and old battles. She listened like she was weighing each word for truth. "No guessing passwords," she said. "No sneaking into devices. Everything clean. Understood?" "Understood," I said. She flipped through my timeline. "Workplace power imbalance is a liability," she said. "Public incident, witnesses, a pattern of contact, companies take that seriously. And if you're being threatened, document it. No drama, just facts." "What do I do?" I asked. Ruth tapped the page. "You file a complaint through their ethics intake," she said. "Short, exact, dates, witnesses, no insults. Insults make you look unstable. Facts make them look risky." I sat there, the chair hard under me. "I don't want to ruin anyone," I said, and even as the words left my mouth, I heard how late they were. Ruth's gaze stayed steady. "Mr. Mercer," she said, "they already chose to risk you. You're learning how to stop being the easiest target." I left her office with my folder and a calm that felt unnatural. That night, my wife saw the printed page on the counter and froze. "What is that?" she asked. "Dates," I said. "You're spying." "I'm looking at our account," I replied. Her voice went thin. "Who are you sending that to?" I folded the paper once. "Someone who loves Christmas surprises," I said. For the first time since the party, she looked afraid of me instead of annoyed. "Harrowport has a shop on Main Street that sells other people's past for cash. Brass sign, fogged windows, a bell above the door that rings like a warning. Lila Graves owned it. 60s, messy bun, eyes that seemed to see your thoughts before you had them. People told her things because her store felt like confession with price tags. I brought a box of office junk, old awards, unused binders, a paperweight shaped like a lighthouse, the kind of clutter that belongs to a life that still believes in routine. Lila looked me over and said, "You look like you slept sitting up." "Just cleaning," I told her. She sifted through the box and, without looking up, said, "You were at the Blackwell." I went still. "How do you know?" "Photos," she said. "Everybody posts. Your wife in red, Grant in the center like he's the sun." I didn't answer. The bell over the door rang every time a customer stepped in, and each ring felt like a little judge tapping a gavel. Lila set my lighthouse paperweight down and leaned closer. "Grant's been shopping for special gifts lately," she said. "Charity auction last month. Came in the next day with a woman who wasn't his wife. Didn't even try to hide it." My stomach tightened. "You're sure?" Lila snorted. "Honey, I've been sure about men longer than you've been paying bills." My phone rang. "Diane Sloane," I answered. "Diane." Her voice was calm, educated, tired in a controlled way. "Mr. Mercer," she said. "I spoke to Tessa. She tried to laugh it off. Then she tried to blame you. Then she cried. I want facts." "I have dates," I said. "Send them," Diane replied. "And keep your hands clean. He'll try to make you the villain. Don't help him." When I hung up, Lila watched me like she'd been expecting that exact call. Before I could speak, the bell rang again. Cole Vance walked in, coat open like he wanted everyone to see he wasn't scared of the cold or consequences. "Well, well," he said. "This town is small." Lila's smile vanished. "Leave," she said. Cole ignored her and stepped toward me. "You like making calls?" he asked. "I like ending problems," I said. He leaned close. "You're making trouble for people who don't like trouble." I kept my hands visible and pulled a folded sheet from my pocket. "What's that?" he asked, eyes flicking down. "Company relationship policy," I said. "Publicly posted, highlighted." His smile wavered. "You're pathetic," he said, but his eyes kept darting to the window like he could already see his reputation slipping on ice. I tilted the paper toward him. "You can keep it," I told him. "I know reading isn't your cardio." Lila made a small sound behind the counter, half laugh, half gasp. Cole's face flushed. He took a step closer like he wanted to shove me. Then he remembered the street, the shoppers, the cameras, the bell that would ring and announce his bad decision to the whole town. "This ends," he said. "Yeah," I replied. "It does." He left fast, the bell ringing hard behind him. I watched him cross the sidewalk toward the diner across the street, shoulders tight. When I stepped outside, he was waiting by my car, half hidden between a snowbank and a parking meter. "You think you can embarrass me in front of that old lady?" he said. "I think you embarrass yourself everywhere you go," I replied. Cole's eyes narrowed. "Grant is protected," he said. "Your wife is replaceable. You're nothing." I held his stare. "Say that again," I said calmly, "and I'll write it down too." For a second, he looked like he might swing. Then a couple walked by with a stroller, and Cole's hands stayed at his sides. He wasn't brave. He was loud. He leaned in close enough that his breath hit my face. We can make you disappear socially, he whispered. I smiled. Small. Perfect, I said. I've been practicing. I got in my car and drove away while he stood there in falling snow, trying to look like a man who had won something. My email pinged as I hit the first red light. Ethics hotline, Alder and Wren. Intake confirmation. People think revenge is loud. Mine sounds like a printer. Monday was the first day consequences looked physical. I separated money first. Not in a dramatic way. No screaming, no smashed dishes, no grand speeches. I went to the bank and opened an account in my name. I moved my direct deposit. I left enough in the joint account for bills already scheduled because I wasn't trying to create chaos. I was trying to stop being bled slowly. Then I met a locksmith at the house. The deed was in my name. My wife used to call that unromantic. She said, paperwork destroys the vibe. Now it felt like an emergency exit you don't notice until the building fills with smoke. The locksmith looked at me for a long second. You sure? He asked, voice gentle. Yeah, I said. New locks, new keys. The click sounded like a period at the end of a sentence. 2 movers carried my things to a small rental across town. Not the couch, not the dishes. My clothes, my laptop, the photo of my mother, the boring pieces that were still mine. I left a note on the kitchen counter. Essentials tonight. Schedule the rest. Keep it civil. My wife arrived after work and tried her key. It didn't turn. She tried again, harder. Then she pounded on the door like the door had betrayed her too. Jack! I opened with the chain on, enough space for air and truth. What is this? She demanded. New locks, I said. You can't do that. I live here. The deed is in my name, I replied. You can come in and take essentials tonight while I'm here. Then we schedule the rest. I'm not keeping your stuff. I'm keeping my sanity. Her eyes narrowed. You talked to a lawyer. Yes. She laughed once, sharp. You're really doing this. Her face shifted through the old rotation. Minimize, blame, seduce, threaten, beg, rage, like a slot machine that never pays out. Jack, you're overreacting, she said first. Then, if you weren't so cold... Then she pressed closer to the chain like she could charm through metal. We can fix it, she said, voice soft. When that failed, the threat came. You're going to regret this, she hissed. Then the begging. Please, she whispered. Don't do this to me. Finally rage, bright and ugly. You want to humiliate me? You want to ruin my career? I watched, tired. I didn't put you on that stage, I said. Her breath hitched. She tried to hold on to anger, but fear leaked through. If Diane finds out, Grant will destroy me, she whispered. I didn't raise my voice. You should have thought of Diane before you smiled on that stage, I said. She stared like she didn't know who I was. Maybe she never did. Maybe she only knew what I provided and how quiet I stayed. I slid an envelope through the gap. A draft separation agreement, clean terms, simple language, no threats, just reality. She read the first page and went pale. You sent something, she said. I sent facts, I replied. Her voice went sharp again. Grant says you don't know what he can do. I leaned close enough that she could see the calm in my eyes. Tell Grant, I said softly, that I know exactly what he can do. That's why I called Diane. She flinched like I touched her. I shut the door. The chain rattled once and then went still. Wednesday, I walked into Alder and Wren's building with a plain manila folder and a visitor badge. Security's name tag said, Howard. He glanced at my destination and didn't ask questions. Some people can smell corporate trouble like smoke and step aside to avoid inhaling it. On the elevator ride up, my reflection looked washed out, like the building was already trying to erase me. I adjusted the visitor badge on my coat like it mattered. Small rituals keep you from shaking. On the 4th floor, Vance stood by the break area, laughing with 2 employees, coffee in hand. He saw me, and his laugh cut off like a wire pulled tight. He started toward me, fast. "You again," he said. "I have an appointment," I replied. "You think you can walk in here?" he snapped. "I am walking," I said. "Looks like I can." A woman appeared behind him carrying a paper bag. Blonde, bright smile. The kind of smile you bring when you think you're doing something sweet. "Surprise," she said to Cole, then saw his face and paused. "Oh." Cole's body went stiff. Panic flickered behind his eyes, then got shoved down. The woman angled her head. "What's going on?" she asked. A man in a suit approached with papers, a process server, calm, bored, professional, not a villain, just a man who doesn't care about anyone's excuses. "Cole Vance?" the man asked. Cole's voice went rough. "What is this?" "You've been served," the process server said, handing him an envelope. "Notice of trespass and a preservation request. Do not contact the complainant." The blonde woman looked from the envelope to Cole. "Complainant?" she asked. "Cole, what is this?" Howard moved closer, hand near his radio. Other faces peeked from office doors. You could feel the building's attention turn like a flock of birds. Cole snatched the envelope and barked, "Go downstairs." The woman didn't move. "Who is he?" she demanded, pointing at me. I decided kindness was finished. "I'm Jack," I said. "Cole knows why I'm here." Her eyes sharpened. "Why?" Cole's mouth opened. Nothing came out fast enough. Truth is slow when you've been sprinting away from it. He bolted toward the stairwell. Howard called after him. "Sir, stop!" Cole didn't stop. The stairwell echoed with footsteps. Cole hit the garage level and ran between cars, slipping on salt. I followed at a steady pace, not chasing, just witnessing. My heart hammered, but my hands stayed open. I wasn't there to hit anyone. I was there to let consequences find their target. Cole cut between a sedan and a truck and slammed his shoulder into the truck's side mirror. The mirror folded inward with a sad plastic click. Not broken, just humbled. Like him. He spun, breath ragged, eyes wild. "This isn't over," he said. I stopped a few feet away. "I think it is," I replied. "Spreadsheets don't forget." He laughed, sharp. "You're nobody," he said. "You're just paper." I nodded. "Paper cuts," I said. Behind him, the blonde woman's voice carried into the garage, loud and furious. "Cole, who is Tessa?" That question hung there, heavy and simple, like a truth you can't put back in the bag. Friday, 2 days before Christmas. The compliance interview happened in a conference room with no windows and too much air conditioning. Ruth Calder sat beside me, pen ready. Diane Sloane sat across, posture perfect, face calm. Grant arrived 5 minutes late with a smile that tried to pretend time was his toy. My wife followed, eyes red, jaw tight, refusing to look at me. The compliance officer stated rules: confidentiality, no retaliation, facts. Grant spoke first, smooth as ever. "This is a misunderstanding," he said, "a holiday joke that got inflated." Diane looked at the officer, not at him. "My husband has a pattern," she said calmly. "I'm done ignoring it." Grant turned to her, smile thinning. "Diane, don't do this." Diane's gaze stayed steady. "Here is where I do it," she replied. I described the stage incident. Exact. Simple. No heat. Grant tried to charm his way through. Ruth lifted one finger and he stopped talking. Watching a man like Grant get silenced by a single finger was its own kind of satisfaction. Then the questions moved to contact. Diane provided dates from her records, calendar entries, hotel confirmations, a list she'd been building long before I ever called her. That was the twist I didn't see coming. I thought I started this. I was only the last drop. I provided my timeline from the shared account, clean, legal, boring, brutal. The officer turned to my wife. "Ms. Mercer," she said, "did you have a personal relationship with Mr. Sloane?" My wife's voice came out small. "No," she said. "It was Work. Grant nodded quickly. Exactly. Harmless fun. Diane's mouth twitched. Is that what you call your hotel nights? She asked. Grant's voice snapped hard. Watch your mouth. The officer cut in. Mr. Sloane, keep your tone respectful. He rebuilt his smile like it was a shield. Of course, he said. My wife finally looked at me. Her eyes were wet and bright with anger. You wanted this, she whispered. I wanted the truth, I replied. Grant leaned toward me, eyes narrow. You think you won? He hissed. I met his stare. No, I said. I think you're about to lose. He leaned closer. Your wife will hate you. I nodded once. Good, I replied. I'm done being loved by liars. As the meeting ended, the officer used corporate language that means the board has already started counting risk. Administrative leave, she said. Pending investigation. No contact. Outside, in the hallway by the water fountain, Grant cornered me. His charm was gone. His eyes were bright with anger. You think you're smart, he said. I'm accurate, I answered. You think you're clean, he said. I am clean, I replied. He smiled without humor. You don't know what you've started. I leaned in just enough. You started it on stage, I whispered. I just wrote it down. Christmas Eve, Alder and Wren held a client dinner at the Blackwell anyway. Corporations don't stop for human messes. They just put flowers on them and call it tradition. I wasn't invited. I showed up in a coat that fit and a face that didn't ask permission. At the side hallway, a guard stepped in front of me. Private event, he said. I'm meeting Diane Sloane, I replied. He checked his tablet. His posture shifted. One moment. Diane appeared in a dark dress, simple and sharp. He's with me, she told the guard, and the guard moved aside like she carried authority in her purse. We walked toward the garage where concrete and cold made everything feel honest. They removed him, Diane said. Grant? I asked. She nodded. They found what he thought no one would connect. Company funds used for personal travel. Not glamorous, just enough, and he lied in the interview. We reached the ramp. A small group approached, Grant in his suit, no grin, flanked by hotel security and an Alder and Wren executive. My wife walked behind them with her arms wrapped tight around herself. Grant saw Diane and stiffened. This isn't necessary, he said. It was necessary months ago, Diane replied. You just didn't believe consequences applied to you. My wife stepped forward, eyes on me. You did this, she said, voice shaking. You blew up my life. You blew up ours, I replied. She tried one last angle, voice soft and sharp at once. You could have talked to me. I did, I said. You laughed. Grant moved toward my wife like he was about to touch her, to pull her back into his story, to arrange her face into the right expression for whoever was watching. Diane's voice cut through the garage. Don't touch her. Grant stopped, confused. Diane stepped closer. She's not your shield, she said. She's not your prop. She's the last person you get to direct. The Alder and Wren executive held out his hand. Badge and token, he told Grant. Grant fumbled, then handed them over. The executive took them without expression. The exchange looked small. It was huge. It was power changing hands without a sound. Somewhere above us, the band hit a bright chorus, like nothing bad ever happens in this town. Down here, Nina Park appeared with a clipboard and a sealed envelope. She handed it to Tessa without a word. My wife read 2 lines and went very still. That was her real bonus today. My wife's phone buzzed. She glanced down and went pale. Incoming call. Marin Hart. She swallowed and looked up at me, fear rising like water. Who is that? She whispered. I said nothing. The silence was louder than any answer. She answered. I watched her listen. Her eyes widened. Her hand covered her mouth. Her shoulders shook. The truth spilled through that phone in messy, human detail, and there was no stage light bright enough to hide it. Grant looked at me with a desperate kind of hatred. "You ruined me," his eyes said. I stepped back, giving him room to fall without touching him. "I wrote you down," I said. The security staff guided him toward the exit ramp. He didn't resist. Rules had turned into walls, and he finally understood what walls feel like. I turned away and walked toward the public ramp, where laughter from the dinner upstairs drifted down like it belonged to another universe. Behind me, my wife made a small broken sound into the phone, and Diane's heels clicked once on the concrete, steady as a judge's tap. I kept walking into the cold night, lighter and heavier at the same time, because the life I had was over, and the life I had left was mine.